Have you ever felt like your life is on pause? Like you're standing in front of a closed door, knocking, praying, believing, yet nothing seems to move? You've done the right things. You've prayed. You've trusted. You've tried to stay faithful. But instead of answers, you're met with silence. Instead of breakthroughs, you feel delay. And deep inside, a question begins to rise. God, why am I still waiting? What if this waiting season isn't a punishment, but a preparation? What if the silence you're experiencing right now is not God ignoring you, but God building something inside you that you will desperately need for what's coming next? Because here's the truth most people don't realize. Before God opens a major door in your life, He often allows a season where nothing seems to be happening. A season where your patience is stretched, your faith is tested, and your strength is quietly forged in ways you cannot see. And that's exactly where you are right now. This isn't random. This isn't wasted time. This is intentional. Think about it. If God gave you everything you asked for immediately, would you be ready to sustain it? Would you have the discipline, the wisdom, the emotional strength, and the spiritual maturity to carry the weight of the blessing? Because blessings aren't just gifts. They're responsibilities. The door you've been praying for, the opportunity, the breakthrough, the answer, it's not small. And that means you cannot enter it as the same person you were before. So God does something powerful. He waits, not because He's slow, but because He's strategic. In the waiting, He begins to reshape you. He removes distractions. He exposes hidden weaknesses. He strengthens your character. He deepens your trust in Him, not just when things are good, but when everything feels uncertain. This is where real faith is born. Anyone can believe when doors are opening, but can you still trust when everything is closed? Can you still pray when you hear no answer? Can you still stand firm when nothing around you seems to be changing? That's the kind of faith that moves heaven. Right now, even though you can't see it, God is working behind the scenes. He's aligning the right people. He's arranging the right timing. He's closing doors that would have harmed you and preparing the one door that will change everything. But here's what makes this season so difficult. It doesn't look like progress. There are no visible signs, no clear confirmations, just silence. And silence can feel heavy, can make you question your path, can make you doubt your prayers, can even make you wonder if you've been forgotten. But you haven't. God has not forgotten you, not for a second. In fact, this very moment, the one you're tempted to give up in, might be the most important part of your journey. Because this is where your foundation is being built. Imagine a skyscraper. Before it rises high into the sky, there is a long period where nothing is visible above ground. People walk by and see nothing happening. But beneath the surface, deep foundations are being laid, strong enough to support the weight of what's coming. That's your life right now. God is building something deep within you. Strength that doesn't break under pressure. Faith that doesn't collapse in uncertainty. Endurance that keeps going even when results are invisible. And when the time is right, when everything is aligned, when you are ready, when the moment is perfect, God will open that door. Not slowly, not partially, but suddenly. And when it opens, you will realize something incredible. The waiting was not the delay. It was the preparation for acceleration. Everything you went through, the silence, the confusion, the patience, it was all equipping you to step into something far greater than you imagined. So don't rush this season. Don't try to force doors that God has not opened. And most importantly, don't lose your faith just because you don't see immediate results. Because God is not working on your timeline. He's working on your transformation. Right now, in this quiet place, something powerful is happening. Your strength is growing. Your faith is deepening. Your character is being refined. And even though you can't see it yet, your breakthrough is getting closer. So instead of asking, "Why am I waiting?" begin to ask a different question. God, what are you preparing me for? Because the moment you shift your perspective, everything changes. The waiting no longer feels empty, it feels purposeful. The silence no longer feels painful, it feels sacred. And the delay no longer feels like rejection, it feels like protection. You are not stuck. You are being prepared. And the door you've been praying for, it's coming. But when it opens, you won't just walk through it. You'll be ready for it. As you continue in this season of waiting, there's something deeper you need to understand. Something that can completely change the way you experience this moment in your life. Waiting with God is never passive. It may look like nothing is happening, but spiritually, internally, emotionally, everything is moving. The truth is, there are two kinds of waiting. One that drains you and one that develops you. And the difference between the two is not time. It's perspective. Because when you see waiting as punishment, it weakens your faith. But when you recognize it as preparation, it begins to strengthen you in ways you never expected. Right now, God is not just preparing a blessing for you. He is preparing you for the blessing. And that requires a process. There are habits being shaped in you during this season. There is patience being stretched. There is endurance being built. There is a deeper dependence on God forming inside your heart. And while none of that feels exciting in the moment, it is absolutely essential for where you are going. Think about the times you've rushed into something too quickly. The times when doors opened before you were ready. Maybe it looked like a blessing at first, but eventually it became overwhelming, stressful, even painful. Why? Because timing matters just as much as the opportunity itself. And God, in His wisdom, will never release something into your life that will ultimately destroy you because you weren't prepared to handle it. So if a door hasn't opened yet, it's not because God is holding back from you. It's because He's protecting you and perfecting you. There are things you can't see right now, conversations happening that you're not part of yet, opportunities forming that haven't reached you yet, people being positioned that will play a role in your future. God is orchestrating details beyond your understanding. And at the same time, He is working within you. Maybe He's teaching you to trust Him without needing constant reassurance. Maybe He's helping you let go of control so you can finally experience peace. Maybe He's removing certain attachments, habits that would have hindered you in your next season. In the silence, strengthen me. In the waiting, prepare me. Remove anything in me that is not aligned with your will. Build in me the character, the patience, and the faith I need for what you have prepared. Help me not to rush ahead of you and not to fall behind in fear. Teach me to trust your timing, even when it's different from mine. And when the door opens, let me walk through it with confidence, knowing that you have prepared me for it. Until then, I will remain faithful, I will remain patient, and I will remain trusting in you. In Jesus' name, Amen. Now hold on to that. Let that prayer settle into your spirit. Because this is not the end of your story. This is the middle, the part where things are being built, aligned, prepared. And very soon, sooner than you think, everything will begin to make sense. The waiting, the silence, the closed doors, all of it. And when that day comes, you won't just be grateful for the blessing. You'll be grateful for the process that made you ready for it. And as you sit with that prayer, as those words begin to settle deep into your heart, there's something else God wants you to understand. Something that will anchor you even more firmly in this season. You are not waiting alone. Even in the silence, God is present. Even in the stillness, He is moving. Even when you feel nothing, He is working. Sometimes we expect God to speak loudly, to give clear signs, instant answers, undeniable direction. But often, God chooses to move in ways that require us to lean in closer, to listen more carefully, to trust more deeply. Because silence is not the absence of God. It is often the invitation to intimacy with Him. This is the place where your relationship with God becomes real, not based on feelings, not dependent on circumstances, but rooted in something deeper, something unshakable. In this quiet season, you begin to know God not just for what He can do, but for who He is, your provider, your protector, your guide, your source of peace when everything else feels uncertain. And that kind of relationship changes everything. Because now, instead of chasing answers, you begin to rest in His presence. Instead of striving for control, you begin to surrender. Instead of fearing the unknown, you begin to trust the one who already knows. And this is where a different kind of strength begins to rise in you. Not loud, not visible, not dramatic, but steady, grounded, resilient. The kind of strength that doesn't panic when things don't go as planned. The kind of strength that doesn't collapse when doors stay closed longer than expected. The kind of strength that keeps moving forward, step by step, even when the path ahead isn't fully clear. This is spiritual maturity. This is what God has been building in you all along. And here's something powerful. While you've been focused on the door, God has been focused on your foundation. Because doors will open and close throughout your life. Opportunities will come and go. Seasons will change. But your foundation, that's what determines whether you stand or fall in every season that comes. And right now, your foundation is being strengthened. Layer by layer. Moment by moment. Choice by choice. Every time you choose patience over frustration. Every time you choose trust over fear. Every time you choose faith over doubt. You are reinforcing something inside of you that will carry you through not just this season, but every season ahead. So don't underestimate the power of what's happening right now. It may not look impressive on the outside. It may not get recognition. No one may even notice the growth taking place within you. But heaven sees it. God sees it. And at the right time, it will show. There will come a moment when everything shifts. A moment when what once felt impossible suddenly becomes real. A moment when the door finally opens, and you step into something that once felt so far away. But when that moment comes, it won't just be about the opportunity. It will be about who you've become. You'll walk differently. You'll think differently. You'll respond differently. Because you're no longer the same person who started this journey. You've been refined, strengthened, prepared. And that's what makes the blessing sustainable. That's what allows you to not just receive it, but to steward it well. So if today still feels quiet, if the door still seems closed, if the answers still haven't come, don't let that discourage you. Let it remind you, God is still working. God is still preparing. God is still leading you, step by step, even when you can't see the full path. And you are closer than you think. Closer to clarity. Closer to breakthrough, closer to the moment where everything begins to make sense. So stay where you are, but not in fear. Stay in faith. Stay grounded. Stay expectant. Because something is shifting. Something is aligning. Something is being prepared just for you. And when it arrives, it will be undeniable. Until that day, keep this truth close to your heart. God is not making you wait without purpose. He is making you ready with intention. And the door that's meant for you, it will open, right on time. And as you hold on to that truth, there is one final shift that can completely transform how you walk through this season. Not just enduring it, but actually embracing it with a quiet, unshakable confidence. It's this: you stop seeing this season as something to get through, and you start seeing it as something to grow through. Because the moment you begin to embrace where you are, instead of resisting it, you unlock a different level of peace. Not because everything suddenly makes sense. Not because the door instantly opens. But because your heart is no longer fighting the process. You begin to move with God instead of against Him. And that changes everything. So many people miss what God is doing because they're too focused on what He hasn't done yet. They rush, they strive, they force doors, they compare their journey to others. And in doing so, they exhaust themselves. But you don't have to live that way. You don't have to chase what God has already promised to provide. What's meant for you will not pass you. Let that sink in. The opportunity that is truly aligned with your purpose. The door that God has designed specifically for your life. It cannot be stolen, delayed by others, or missed because of a single mistake. God is not that fragile. His plans for you are not that easily disrupted. So instead of living in fear of missing it, you can begin to live in the confidence of being guided. And when you live that way, something incredible happens. You slow down. You breathe. You become more aware of God's presence in the everyday moments. You start to notice the small ways He is leading you, the subtle nudges, the quiet convictions, the unexpected moments of clarity. Because guidance is often gentle. It's not always loud or dramatic. If this message spoke to you, don't scroll away. Subscribe and share it with someone who needs this today. Your breakthrough may be closer than you think. Stay faithful and trust God's timing. because not everything that feels good is meant to go with you, and not every closed door is a loss. Some doors are closed because they lead to places that would have delayed your purpose, drained your energy, or distracted you from what truly matters. But it's hard to see that in the moment, isn't it? When you're standing in front of a closed door, all you feel is disappointment. You replay the what-ifs. You wonder what you did wrong. You question whether you missed your chance. But what if that closed door was actually one of the greatest acts of love God has shown you? What if the very thing you're grieving is the thing that saved you? This is why trust is so important in this season. Not surface-level trust. Not the kind that only exists when things are going well. But deep, unshakable trust, the kind that says, even when I don't understand, I believe God knows what He's doing, because that kind of trust changes everything. It brings peace in uncertainty. It brings strength in weakness. It allows you to keep moving forward, even when you don't have all the answers. And here's something powerful. Your attitude in this season will determine how you enter the next one. If you spend this time complaining, resisting, and doubting, you will carry that same mindset into your breakthrough. But if you choose to grow, to trust, to stay faithful, even when it's hard, you will step into your next season with confidence, clarity, and strength. This is your training ground. This is where you learn to stay consistent. This is where you learn discipline. This is where your faith stops being theoretical and becomes real. So instead of seeing this as a delay, start seeing it as development. Instead of asking, when will this be over? Begin asking, who am I becoming through this? Because that question will unlock something powerful inside of you. You'll begin to notice growth where you once saw stagnation. You'll begin to feel strength where you once felt weakness. You'll begin to recognize that even though your external situation hasn't changed yet, you have. And that's the key. Because when you change, everything else begins to shift. Doors that once felt impossible start to open. Opportunities that seemed out of reach begin to appear. And suddenly, the same person who once felt stuck is now moving forward with purpose and direction. But it all starts here, in the waiting, in the silence, in the moments where you choose to believe even when you can't see. So don't underestimate this season. Don't rush past it. Don't try to escape it. Lean into it. Grow through it. Trust God in it. Because one day you're going to look back at this exact moment, and you're going to realize something that will take your breath away. This was the season that changed everything. This was the moment where your foundation was built. This was where your strength was formed. And this was where God prepared you for a door that only you were meant to walk through. So hold on. Stay faithful. And remember, just because the door hasn't opened yet, doesn't mean it isn't already on its way. Now, as you stand in this quiet, stretching season, this is the moment where everything begins to shift. Not around you, but within you. Because after the waiting, after the questioning, after the growth, there comes a decision. A decision that will define how you walk into what God has prepared for you. Will you let the silence make you bitter? Or will you allow it to make you stronger? Will you let the delay fill you with doubt? Or will you let it deepen your faith? Because here's the truth. This season is not just about what God is doing for you. It's about what He is doing in you. And when you begin to understand that, something powerful happens. You stop chasing the door, and you start trusting the one who opens it. That shift changes everything. Because now, your peace is no longer tied to outcomes. Your joy is no longer dependent on visible progress. And your faith is no longer shaken by temporary silence. Instead, you begin to live with a quiet confidence, a deep assurance that no matter what it looks like right now, God is still in control. And that's where true strength is found. Not in having all the answers, not in seeing the full picture, but in trusting God completely, even when the picture is still unclear. Right now, you might still feel the weight of uncertainty. You might still wonder how everything is going to come together. You might still have moments where doubt tries to creep in. That's okay. Faith doesn't mean you never feel doubt. It means you don't let doubt have the final word. It means you keep showing up. You keep praying. You keep believing, even when it's hard, even when it's quiet, even when nothing seems to be changing. Because every time you choose faith in a moment of uncertainty, you are strengthening something inside of you that cannot be shaken. And that strength is exactly what you will need when the door finally opens. Because when it does, it won't just require excitement, it will require responsibility. It will require courage. It will require wisdom. It will require the very things God has been building in you during this season. That's why this process matters so much. God is not just interested in giving you a breakthrough. He's committed to making sure you can sustain it. So many people pray for open doors, but they're not prepared for what's on the other side. But you are being prepared. Every moment of patience, every act of trust, every time you chose to keep going instead of giving up, it's all adding up. It's all shaping you into someone who is ready. And here's something you need to hear today. God has not brought you this far just to leave you here. The same God who placed the desire in your heart, the same God who carried you through every challenge, the same God who gave you the strength to keep going when you wanted to quit. He is the same God who will open the right door at the right time. Not a second too early, not a moment too late, perfect timing. And when that moment comes, it will not feel forced. It will not feel confusing. It will not feel uncertain. There will be a clarity, a peace, a sense of alignment that you cannot explain. Because when God opens a door, no one can shut it. And when He leads you forward, you don't have to strive. You simply have to follow. So instead of exhausting yourself trying to figure everything out, rest in this truth. God is already ahead of you. He's already in your tomorrow. He's already made a way even if you can't see it yet. Your job is not to control the outcome. Your job is to stay faithful in the process, to keep your heart aligned, to keep your spirit grounded, to keep your trust anchored in Him. And right now, this is where the prayer begins. Not a distracted prayer, but a sincere, honest, deeply personal moment between you and God. So wherever you are, take a breath, slow down for a moment, and let these words come from your heart. God, I may not understand this season, but I trust you. I may not see what you're doing, but I believe you are working.